I love the 7 Deadly Sins. I feel like a few years ago, that would sort of be difficult to say. If you're a fan of 7 Deadly Sins, or have at least heard of it, it's kind of hard to go too far into it without mentioning the
keep your hands off my woman, understand me?
Many controversies the animes have. But what's weird is that when the anime first came out, it was kind of talked about in a good light. Sure, no one was calling it a masterpiece or the greatest anime of all time, but, you know, it was looked at pretty nicely. And then, Season 3 of the anime was released, which had arguably one of the most hype fights in the series, and, well, you know what happened. We all know what happened.
You seen the new 7 Deadly Sins movie trailer? Looks like a mobile game ad. Holy fuck yeah, Tiana saw it too and said it was terrible, so she showed me. I can't believe how downhill this whole series went. 7 Deadly Sins after Season 1, and 2, I think 2 was even fine, fell off a fucking cliff and everyone stopped talking about it, stopped watching because the quality went so down.
The massive animation downgrade coupled with some of the questionable things in this series basically made it one of the many laughingstocks of the anime community.
Hey y'all, come look at this.
But I don't think it deserves that. So, in honor of both my love for the series and Origin coming out this year, which I will be streaming on Twitch once it drops, so, you know, maybe go watch that, I thought it would be interesting to create a retrospective from a fan's perspective. Bars! Oh my god. And to do that, we first need to go back to the beginning. And I mean, the very beginning.
エリザベスとメリオダスに関してはもうできてましたね。まあ基本的にその二人の話だったんで。
Nakaba Suzuki was a fan of manga from seemingly a young age, the first manga he ever bought being Dr. Slump by Akira Toriyama, and his works likely were inspired by Dragon Ball, which, you know, another series by Akira Toriyama. It's safe to say that Nakaba is known primarily for 7 Deadly Sins, but before that he had worked on 2 separate series, one of which ended nearly a decade before 7 Deadly Sins even began serialization. In fact, it even got an anime adaptation recently. I won't really talk about them that much since, as far as I know, they're not really relevant to 7 Deadly Sins, but you can definitely see the Nakaba style that most people associate with 7 Deadly Sins. Now, truthfully, I don't know much about Nakaba as a person, and honestly, I don't really care. But I feel like Nakaba is worth mentioning when talking about the series because he's kind of an interesting mangaka. When asked on an interview on how he designs characters, his answer was, I try to make them fun to draw. He doesn't really have deep or serious character designs. When he works on his series, he's having fun.
結構その7つの大罪で、まあ僕は割と気にして書いてるところは、仲間感と親友感っていうのはちょっと分けて実は考えてて。
Also, something notable about him is that, for the manga at least, he did basically everything by himself. And to me, that is some serious level of motivation.
なんかそのちょっと立ち位置を結構微妙にその注意して書いてるところであるんですけど。
He too was working on the anime and likely faced the backlash that later seasons would get. But he still continued, eventually making 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, which most people consider to be better than 7 Deadly Sins. Now then, with Nakaba out of the way, it's time to first talk about the 7 Deadly Sins manga. Who the fuck is that? One day, some weird mesh-looking thing stumbles into a bar owned by a person named Meliodas. Inside of the thing turned out to be a girl named Elizabeth, who's trying to find a group of dangerous criminals known as the 7 Deadly Sins.
I am having the worst case of Dijon mustard right now.
This, sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? What we're looking at here is Meliodas and Elizabeth from a one-shot manga called The 7 Deadly Sins, which is in fact a pilot for, well, you know. I find this one-shot pretty interesting to look at. The basic building blocks of what will be the start of the series are there, but also completely different. For example, Meliodas. Even in this one-shot, he is still the captain of the 7 Deadly Sins. Personality-wise, he's sort of the same, but a little more flustered, I guess, by Elizabeth and less, well, Meliodas-y. The biggest change, at least for the main character, is Elizabeth. She's more ditzy and upbeat, kind of an airhead, you know, like she's fucking filthy. I do really like Elizabeth in the main series. I think she's a good character. But I feel like it would have been interesting to see how this Elizabeth would have fared. Anyway, for real this time, let's talk a little bit about the manga. So, eventually, the Seven Deadly Sins manga officially began serialization in October of 2012, having its printed release in early 2013 and lasting until 2020. This little video series and the next videos are primarily about the anime adaptation, but I feel like the manga is worth discussing because despite how much hate the anime gets, the manga is pretty popular. Sure, it's not putting up One Piece numbers or something like that, but it currently has 55 million manga sales, making it the 45th best-selling manga of all time. It's insane how different a reception a manga and an anime can get. Hell, in 2014, when I was around the end of the Leonis arc, and the year where the anime adaptation began, it was the 9th best-selling manga of that year, beating out the likes of Assassination Classroom and Bleach. Now, for the main part, I likely won't bring up the manga that much during the anime discussion. I had heard that there's some differences or cut content in the manga, but I'll only really bring up when necessary. Anyway, as for the anime, next time, maybe.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
7つの大罪憤怒の罪ドラゴンシーンメリオダス
Hey there, thanks for watching the first part of my Seven Deadly Sins video series, even though I didn't really talk much about the series itself. I wanted to make these little parts before I started talking about the actual anime because I do think some of it is worth mentioning. I plan to cover seemingly the entire series, might even do separate videos for the spin-off mangas and the movies, so I thought it was worth mentioning some of the more unknown details. Next time we'll definitely talk about the anime though. I plan to hopefully make at least 1 or 2 videos per season. Haven't fully decided yet, to be honest. But next time we'll definitely dive into the start of Leonis arc, aka Season 1. Hope you all enjoy this little series of mine, and I will see you in part 2.